Welcome back to the Warrior pregame show. Coach Lambert joins me now. And Coach, it seems like a little bit of a repeat of last year. We find ourselves ready for Game 6. Your team is 2-3 as they were a year ago, coming off 3 straight tough losses. Games in which you played better this year than last year, but as a coaching staff and I'm sure as a team, you're not accepting any type of moral victories.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no real such thing. I mean, you know, the one thing about a scoreboard is that it's final, and you know, and the scoreboard's not moral or not. You know, it really doesn't care one way or another. So we've lost, and we have now, and we have not played well enough to win. And you know, so it's not like we're coming and scratching our heads. We know what it takes to beat a team like Ottawa or a team like McPherson or a team like Friends, and so now at the same time there are other things that we're trying to get done and learn outside of winning and losing. And so while the final score is final, it doesn't mean that you have failed across the board, or just because you lose, it doesn't mean you're a loser. And you know, those are some things that we've talked a lot about in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and unfortunately I've had a lot of time to talk about those on a 3-week slide. So it's no different going into the game today. You know, blocking and tackling and being assignment proof, and someone then making a play in the context of a big transition in the game, and so that's what we're going to focus on. That's what we focused on this week, and like we talked about Thursday, we've practiced with good energy and we're fresh, and you know, I think our players are ready to give it their best shot again today and play hard, and hopefully we'll play better.
Tabor's main playmaker is the quarterback of a very good offense, Joey Erickson. He's a senior, and he's taken to heart what Mike Gardner wants his offense to do in a very short period of time, and he's become the #1 passer and #1 in total offense. He gets 362 yards a game, his passing and running combined, so I'm sure that he's been keeping Chuck occupied this week preparing for this Blue Jay offense.
And it doesn't get any different, you know. It just every week's the same with guys who can really play skill positions, that tall receivers, solid running backs, great quarterbacks, passing scheme that is devilish to defend, and so it's no less true against the Blue Jays today.
And their defense, we talked some on Thursday, struggling, giving up over 210 yards rushing a game, and I believe over 230 passing, but that is a little deceiving. There's some very good playmakers on this defense. What have you prepared for as far as this afternoon, expecting from that Blue Jay defense?
Well, they're talented, and then that combination with Coach Gardner's expertise on the defensive side, and he does a great job of planning for particular teams. And so sometimes you're not sure what you're going to get, because he can come up with stuff that can be hard to move the ball against, that you've never seen before. And so I think we just have to be patient. We've got to make some plays on 3rd down, which we haven't done consistently, and I think that'll be the key to the game. You know, like we've talked about, can we get some stops early in a series on defense, and then can we sustain some long drives with 1st downs on offense?
You mentioned your offense. I think the best word to describe it through 5 games would be inconsistent, where you put that really great drive together to start against Friends, and then you'll have 2 or 3 consecutive series of 3 and outs. What have you concentrated on this week in practice? Have you found that it's just a little lack of concentration at times, missed assignments, or is it just too hard to just break down into 1 or 2 things?
Right, I think that's a good point. I mean, it's a, you know, I don't want to be so naive as to think that a relatively complex problem can be solved, you know, with 1 or 2 simple solutions. And so all of what you mentioned are true, and we've, like we talked about, we just had to go back and reevaluate, okay, what we're doing, who are we doing it with, is our practice structure creating an environment of sort of non-focus and non-concentration. You know, a lot of the mistakes that we're making in a game, we don't make in practice. And so what's the connection between practicing well and playing well? And so there are a multiple number of things that we have tried to talk about and think through strategically this week, and I hope that we fixed one or two. We're not looking at much of a margin in these last weeks, really on both offense and defense, and so we're trying to find those one or two things that can squeeze that margin down for us and come out with a win.
Another game, of course, your secondary will get tested with a very good Tabor passing offense. Corey Dunbar has been playing well, and Mike Talton last week. He's actually now #1 in the conference in interceptions. He got 2 last week, 5 on the season, and then something you won't see very often, but a 140-pound long snapper. He came in when Alex Martinez got banged up, so you've got to be pretty happy thus far with Corey switching over to defense, and especially how well him and Mike have gelled together to put up a pretty formidable pass defense.
Yeah, well, we like him on the corner, both of them. Corey is obviously behind the 8 ball a little because he hasn't played on defense, and so he's learning on the run, and he's making improvement in the fire, and that can be hard. It can be hard mentally and emotionally, but he's going to just keep getting better and better. And what can you say about Mike? He's been a playmaker. He's been solid. He's played hurt. All those kind of things. He's been extremely unselfish. So we really like those two guys a lot, and I anticipate from both of them superb games today.
Well, Coach, good luck this afternoon, and as always, we'll see you again in about 3.5 hours, and we'll see how you break down this one, and hopefully we'll talk about the 3-3 Sterling Warriors at the conclusion of this afternoon. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Scott. Have a great one.
Coach Landy Lambert, his pregame thoughts as he prepares his team for the Tabor Blue Jays. We're going to take a timeout, and when we come back, we'll have your probable starting lineups as the Warrior pregame show continues on HK FM.